Hey guys, this is Gaijin Hunter. Apologies if my voice is a little deeper and kind of groggy. It is early in the morning, but I woke up at 6 a.m. to go watch the Summer Game Fest, and they did tease out the very first trailer of the expansion coming to Monster Hunter Wilds called Monster Hunter Wilds Ascendance. And it says that it takes to the skies in 2027. I'm going to assume this is going to be early 2027, and they're just not committing yet to saying that. But the January, February, March timeframe has always been very friendly to this franchise. According to the press release, it says that Monster Hunter Wilds Ascendance advances the story of Forbidden Lands as the expedition's team adventurers soars to a new locale set amongst the clouds. In the expansion, hunters will explore islands in the sky and wield explosive new abilities that evolve the gameplay and take the hunting action to new heights. The challenge will also rise to a new level with the return of Elder Dragons and Master Rank content. Now, awesome sort of height-related puns aside, I do like that they're highlighting that this is going to be the return of Elder Dragons, which they did show in the trailer, and of course Master Rank. And we're just going to overanalyze the trailer. I mean, this is literally just a tease. I expect that we're going to get a more proper trailer hopefully in the next few months. Because they really didn't show too much. This is more about just showing off the core concept. And there's a lot of interesting things here that I want to speculate on and discuss. Okay, so I'm interested to know where that crude humor sort of thing comes in here. But we're going to start with the trailer. Obviously, they're just showcasing the new locale. This seems like it's going to be a really big locale, sort of like they did with Iceborne, probably. Because they do call it a locale. With islands, not locales. And with any new trailer usually comes a website update, and this time is no different, although it is pretty bare. It is interesting that unlike the Japanese, which doesn't have a term for this yet, they do mention that new monsters await you in the Eastlands. So the Eastlands or Eastlands is where this is going to be taking place. Anyways, what we're seeing here is not the hunter, that is Nata. Now, obviously, Nata is not this big, although we do know that he's going to make a journey into trying to become a monster hunter. We notice here on his left arm, I don't see a slinger, so my guess is that he is still sort of learning the ropes. And although we do get the camera from behind him, I don't think that we'll be controlling him or playing as him. Now, given the fact that we have a time jump pretty much confirmed because Nata is much more closer to becoming an adult here, interesting enough with Alma, I might be the only one thinking this, but the first vibes I got when I first saw her was, is she pregnant? Now, it could just be the outfit, which of course she likes to wear baggy outfits, but she did feel larger to me, and the whole idea of like the longer hair, wearing it down, you know, conveying this more maternal image. I don't know, maybe there's just some weird sensor in my head that went off, but I'm speculating. I think it would actually be interesting thematically because we've never seen anything so real world. And I think just the theme of maternity would be an interesting one to introduce to the series. Anyways, I could be just completely off base here, but that's the vibe I got, and I'm just being honest. You know, it's another way also to show there's the time jump and or the evolution of the characters. Look at Gemma. She's sporting a really nice outfit here. I won't speculate on what that Kazu doll thing is, but it's cute. But she has much shorter hair here, which I think fits her really nicely. And heck, even Olivia gets a glow up. Now, of course, it is worth mentioning that here, obviously, they're talking about Wyveria, and the structural sort of design language we see here of all the different towering structures is exactly what we saw in Monster Hunter Wilds. So we're not going to something that's completely different. But it does seem that Wyveria took to the skies and built up there. But now, because we do have this in two languages, we can compare the subtitles, and I will caution that, you know, these subtitles are taken completely out of context, probably clipped from completely different conversations and played here. But nonetheless, I find it interesting to compare here. Now, it says in English that Wyveria negated the weight of buildings and mounted the sky. In Japanese, they're saying that it's sort of the same thing. It says that they managed to remove the weight and built structures that reach the sky. So it's just confirmation that they didn't float their city. They found a way to create things that float in the sky. So I think this coexisted along with the Wyveria down on the ground. Why both the sky version and the land version of Wyveria perished, maybe we'll find out.
can't stop wondering, how can all this exist up amongst the clouds?
Sorry, Eric is still not saying anything interesting. It's basically the same thing, just saying like, oh, well, even given whatever Olivia probably just said, I can't believe they have this much stuff floated up in the sky. And now we're transitioning to the hunter, who's on Sacred, coming way down from up above, and we see a new type of monster. This appears to be a herd monster because they are obviously in a group of herds, and they're going to do a really cool nosedive here, which is very similar to the sort of dive that we see Valstrax do. So I'm quite feeling good about the idea that we're going to see Valstrax return, especially with animations like this. Okay, now we get our look at the new mechanic for this game, which is the addition of the Boost Bracer. It looks like Hunter Arts 2.0, which I'm all for. And they say on the website that this arsenal expands with devastating new attacks. Unleash the hunter within. As if we didn't already unleash it already. But this seems to be something that you can trigger. I imagine it's going to be something like a Hunter Art where maybe you can't just do it unlimitedly, obviously, because it seems like it's really powerful. It does seem like it unlocks the ability to do a much faster, more spicy combo or combination of moves. Now, from what I can gather just by watching this, it does look sort of like it's a period of time thing. Seems like the hunter is triggering it, and then for like the next 10 seconds, they're able to pull off, sort of like a boosted mode with different attacks at different speeds and even slightly different animations as well. I'm assuming that this is Nadia talking. If it is Nadia coming back in the story in a bigger way, I'm very happy because she did have a cameo during the Gagmazios sequence, but she is a fan favorite from Monster Hunter 4, so it would be nice to have her come in. And the tone in the English feels a little bit more like a fish out of water, like, oh my gosh, but in the Japanese, it seems much more like a veteran explaining to people what it is. And obviously this section here is just introducing elder dragons and the concept of them, which of course historically in Monster Hunter is always described as a moving natural disaster because they cause their environment to change around them, even though it's not, out of malice or anything like that. It's just a consequence of their power. Now for this one, I'm not sure who's talking, but the English, I'm not sure about the word choice here. They say they're too powerful to tame. I think just because we have the idea of taming monsters with like the sacreds and stuff like that, I don't think that's what they're getting at. In the Japanese, they just use the verb dio, which means to utilize or use to one's advantage. So I don't think it's about taming them to become like pets or anything like that. But obviously these monsters are just way too powerful to get them to do anything, to utilize them to your will. And the second part, which is too difficult to reproduce, maybe because my brain was in that whole maternity thing, I was thinking like, what are they trying to breed them? But that's not the verb to use in the Japanese here, which is saigen, which is to like recreate a phenomenon. It's not necessarily trying to reproduce them like as living animals. Again, this is all cut dialogue from a situation. We have no idea what's being shown here, so we'll just have to wait until we get more details or the game to find out exactly what they're talking about. But I don't think this section is supposed to be anything significant. It's just setting up, in this game we're going to be introducing a bunch of elder dragons. I'm really curious if that voice is, again, I don't know the voices that well, if that was the Ace Commander Julius. If it was, that would be awesome. Because the elder dragon they choose to show off here is Kushala. Now Kushala Daora is very significant in the context of Nadia and Ace Commander and all the guys from Monster Hunter 4. There's a huge history with them, with Kushala. So if it's appearing here in the opening area of Monster Hunter Wilds, I could see sort of all the Ace Hunters coming in. Perhaps even Aiden as well, who was an Iceborn. I think that would be interesting to go on an adventure with them and sort of have the whole crew back and really finish off the idea that this is a love letter to Monster Hunter 4. Now, I don't want to just keep promoting videos I made in the past, but 6 years ago I did compile all the cutscenes from Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, which I'll include in the links in the description down below. But you don't have to listen because they're just grunting through it, but they are really interesting to see, and then you can sort of get the history of the Ace Hunters and their interactions with Kushala, which I find very interesting. And of course, the final sort of one more thing for this trailer was a tease of Lao-Shan Lung, which another one of my series of I have a video on that. I do have a monster feature video I did specifically on this monster, which I also have a link for in the description down below. But this is great because one of the things that was massively lacking in Wilds was a siege type monster. Some very large scale, hunt against a monster of crazy colossal size, and that's exactly what Lao-Shan Lung is. And if there's a fight that could really use an upgrade for the modern era, I think this is it, because the last time we saw it was in Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, and while the monster's cool and the armor and the weapons are cool, it was still kind of like the same fight, which is not the most interesting thing in the world. But I think now, given their modern approach, they could do some pretty crazy things with this monster, and it might be quite the DPS check. So here are some official screenshots as I share my final thoughts. Obviously, I don't have a lot of thoughts because it's just a sneak peek. I want to know more. I like the idea of a possible time jump. I think it will allow us to break away from sort of where we left off, allow us to try to tell a new story, maybe try to abbreviate some of the inner workings that happened afterwards, which would be kind of boring to have to listen through. I love the new haircuts, the new styles for everybody. It's a new fresh look. And I'm intrigued by the new mechanic. I hope it's like Hunter Arts, where you build up a gauge and then you can activate it, because I think one of the things that they had right with focus mode is sort of trying to tell the hunter that, okay, notice an opportunity when you have it to punish and then go all out, and sort of that observational type of idea. Now, focus mode was kind of always available, so I felt that it was a little, not quite there. But like Hunter Arts, if it's something that you can build up and then trigger, it means that you could also waste your opportunity. So I like that because it's much more fulfilling to sort of see the opportunity, try to connect with it, and then really, take advantage of it. That could be very nice. I do hope that monsters don't stagger easily. But then again, this is going to be the Master Rank expansion, so monsters are going to be much more powerful. And I think they did a really good job in the last few updates of this game in really finding their ground when it comes to the balance of the fights. That being said, of course, I am not a fan of the skill bloat, and I do feel that we're getting too close to a character action game like Devil May Cry, rather than the more deliberate, small man with a knife versus a large dragon type of idea from Monster Hunter. But it'll be interesting. They've got a good opportunity here to build on the stuff that they fixed near the end of the development for Monster Hunter Wilds, and I hope that they can stick the landing because, hey, I'm a Monster Hunter fan. I'm rooting for them. I really want them to nail it. So hopefully this new area, with it being so much aerial and maybe not a huge loading zone, hopefully that'll take off some CPU load, and this game will run really well on all of its platforms. Anyways, those are my thoughts and a quick little recover of this trailer. Let me know down in the comments what you're most excited for. And yeah, I think next up we'll get some Stories 3 information on the high rank expansion. If they don't bring Atao Ka, because they teased that they were thinking about it once, but it was too cost prohibitive. If they don't bring that in for the high rank, I'm going to be very disappointed, because you don't tease me and tell me we could have had Atao Ka, okay? Because I love that monster. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys are doing well. And until next time, happy hunting.